Hi, Rohit.
Hi, Jayshree. How are you doing?
Very well. Okay, shall we start?
Sure. Ready when you are.
Okay, done. Hi, everybody. I can see a lot of people waving out to us. Thank you for joining us. And welcome, Rohit Gera. It's a pleasure, always a pleasure having you here. And today we're talking about a pandemic that has led to people's behaviors changing. A lot of
Hmm.
people have been locked into the house. They have looked at the house as something that you come back to after a day of work. And today
Right.
it is a place where you, your family, your children, your spouse, all of you are working out of home all the time. Has this
Sure.
changed the equation? And what is it that we are going to be? What people? How should people assess whom they should buy from? So let's start, Rohit. First, why don't you set a context? What do you think has changed in this period of lockdown?
So, Jayshree, I think the thing that's changed is, everybody would, like you said, come back home, right? And the home was shelter, whether it belonged to you or not, right?
Yeah.
But I think being locked in your home for such a long duration of time, I think people's outlook towards what the value that the home provides to them has kind of gone up a lot. So
Yeah.
whether you have an open terrace or a balcony, for example, whether your home has enough ventilation, right?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
well naturally lit your home is. I think these are the kind of things that people have started realizing when
Yeah.
they've been stuck at home for these longer durations. I think we've also seen people who are tenants who feel so insecure that their societies may throw them out. I think so. That's something which people have realized the need for homes. I think people with smaller homes with multiple people staying in there have realized the need for more elbow room to have more space. So I think the way we interact with our homes and the way we've been interacting with our home just went through a sea change in terms of the feedback that we've got from people.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And Rohit, when I'm looking at homes, the different age groups, like the people in their 20s, their 30s, their 40s, all of them are looking for home. Is the perspective very different?
Well, of course, I think when you look at people who have homes who are currently living in a sort of joint family format, their needs are completely different from a young individual who's still single. Very different from two people who've just come together, gotten married, getting married, looking at buying a home together. And again, this changes a lot when you've got kids. I mean, we did a couple of events with for our child-centric home customers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the kind of and getting the feedback that we did, the need to keep the kids engaged, the need to keep the kids kind of occupied, has just been completely different for that audience.
Yeah,
And therefore, we feel that things like child-centric homes, which when you're in a lockdown, it doesn't matter who your neighbors are really,
yeah,
because you're
yeah.
locked in your four walls. But once you can start going out into your community, into your housing society, I think then the similarity amongst your neighbors, those with kids or those with elderly people staying together, then that starts to get much more kind of accentuated.
Mm-hmm. Rohit, let's start with the basics. How do you choose the developer that you're going to go with?
Oh, so the easiest thing and the most important thing, right? Uh, I think it's the what is promised is now delivered because of RERA, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
all developers are required to deliver based on what RERA says. But I think customers must look at not just what the written word is, but also the intent of the developer. And
Mm.
the intent is much more visible when you go back and you speak with, you look at the past projects which have been delivered. You look at whether the developers lived up to past promises, things
Mm-hmm.
like that. Because, ultimately we may turn around and say, okay, my RERA compliance, check, 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 check. But there's so many things, the softer side, which doesn't get actually written and documented, is
Mm-hmm.
really what the developer's long-term intent is. And the only way to understand that is talk to their salespeople, visit past projects. And the other super important thing today is that customers must make sure that even if you're getting a discount today, Take a discount, negotiate, it's great. But please, for God's sake, make sure that the money that you're putting in is going into your project where you're investing money and not to repay some old debts and some outstanding liabilities. In which case, even if you're getting a 90% discount, don't waste your 10% of your money because you'll never get the home. So you have to make sure that there's concrete being poured on the site, that this project progress is in place, right? Those are basic and those are required. Look up RERA and also try and understand what the developer's intent is by talking to, looking at other projects, looking at other deliveries, looking at their commitment to existing customers. Is the developer more focused just on getting sales? Or do they equally focus on servicing existing customers? These are really important things, and these are the times when these things are the most important. Because I do think, and that's the last thing which I'll say, I do think that we have tremendous headwinds in terms of just financial situation for developers, which are going to be more challenges in the near future.
Yeah, and I think very, very big takeaways there. First of all, check past projects. If you can, ring a bell and talk to a consumer and figure out how happy they are in that project. And the second thing is there should be the moving cranes, the concrete pouring on the site, work happening on the site. Big takeaways, and I think I'm going to stress that through this session, because that's something that people really need to know. It's not the quantum of discount, it is the quality of the discount. What can you check? That's one important. Now I'm going to there's a question that has come here. How can we pre-check a development will be able to complete a project on time or not? Would you like to do that?
Unfortunately, there's no way to check. One of the ways where a project gets stuck, and there's numerous ways, right? One of them is that the developer runs out of cash. Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you protect yourself against that? Just check how many sales that project has done. Because RERA provides you a protection that 70% of the money that comes in has to go for the project. So if there's enough sales, then the chances of the project running out of cash flow because of a lack of sales is minimized. Otherwise, if you're booking in early stage, by all means, please ask the developer, how will you complete the construction? Right?
Yeah.
Look at the credit rating of the developer. Ask a straight question. There's nothing wrong with asking. Okay.
Is it available? Credit rating of developers are available for consumers to check?
Well, it's not available at the drop of a hat. It's not available on a simple search, but the credit rating agencies offer it. And I think you can ask, if you're spending money, you're spending 30 lakhs, 50 lakhs, 1 crore, right? Ask the salesperson to provide you the information.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with asking the question. So that's on the financial side. Yeah. On the other side, please look at RERA. That certainly tells you about the track record and so on. The number of projects completed have to be put up on RERA. Okay. The last one, which is kind of beyond everybody's control, is the risk of regulation.
Yeah.
Regulatory risk is a concern across this country. With officials changing their views in terms of the process. Now go get this NOC, now change that. But reputed developers who have their reputation on the line will continue to work very, very hard to get you the home and leave no stone unturned to deliver that home to you. You have to get that confidence that the developer will actually do that.
Sure, get it. Rohit, there's one consumer, Saurav, who has asked, does carpet area also include balconies as well?
Yes, so under the RERA measurement, and they've given the guidelines, it's the out-to-out dimension of the entire flat. It's the in-to-in of the entire flat. It includes internal walls, and based on the guidelines that RERA has given, certainly in Maharashtra, the carpet area of the balcony is included in the apartment. Yes.
Right. Okay. There's another question. What is your advice for first-time home buyers that are contemplating a home purchase right now? Is it a good time because interest rates are low, or will the housing market crash, meaning buyers should keep away from it?
Okay, so let me first state that one of the reasons why developers haven't come forth in this kind of an interaction is because as a developer we have a vested interest, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to start by disclosing that's just fair disclosure. Now, having said that, I think if you have the funds available to buy, right? I think interest rates are virtually at an all-time low. If you didn't buy it in that 2005-6 time when the interest rates were in the 7%. It's been 15 years.
Yeah.
We're now seeing, that's 7.5 type of interest rate regime. So it's a great time from an affordability point of view in that sense. If you look at the last 4 or 5 years, rates really haven't moved up, and developers' costs have pushed up substantially,
Right.
including just one thing, right? GST, for example, we were forced by the government to say you must pass on GST input credit. We did. And then the government went and changed the rule to say, hey, guess what? Now no more input credit set off. You have to bear this burden yourself. And developers haven't been able to pass this cost onto the
Yeah.
customer. So I think it's
Yeah.
a matter of time before you see prices rise.
Okay.
And here's the thing: if you need to buy a home, please buy it. The other option is you're going to pay rent. Rent does not get invested into your own ownership; it goes away. Whereas if you're buying a home and you're paying your mortgage, you're slowly building up your equity in the ownership of the home.
Right.
And the last thing is, will prices crash? My view is I don't believe prices will crash. But look, even if they do, it's a 5, 7, 8%, if at all. This is the time to walk to a developer, negotiate and try and get yourself a good deal. Be convinced that he's giving you a deal where, you're not getting squeezed and some other people paid less. Just be convinced about that. As long as you're getting a fair price, which is being offered to everybody, I think it's fair. And then go ahead and buy. I do believe it is indeed a good time to be buying a home. And whether you're a first-time buyer, whether you're an upgrade buyer, whatever it be, I certainly think it's the right time to buy.
Okay, and now the questions are coming down to the nitty-gritties. There's Avinash Bogale who says, how do outsiders evaluate who a trustworthy developer in Pune is? I mean, there's somebody else who has asked, can you give me a checklist of things that buyers must essentially tick off when deciding to make a purchase? Put together, I think people want to know, give me a rule of thumb.
So I think the rule of thumb is this, right? RERA registration, absolutely critical. Past track record is not 100% indicator of future, because we've seen even good names go through rough waters at this point in time. Okay, but it certainly indicates an intent. Okay, and the other two things are what percentage of the project is sold.
Yeah.
Right. And the other one is the work going on today on the construction site?
Yeah.
I think if there's enough sales, it indicates that there'll be money coming in. And if that money is going on to the project today, those are sort of the good things to look at. Beyond that, speak to other people, find out, talk to maybe brokers. Today the industry's changed to a level where channel partners, who we call channel partners, don't charge consumers. So, it's free to ask. Right?
Yeah.
So in that sense, do a little bit of homework. I think people who've done their homework, not gotten carried away with discounts.
Right.
Not gotten emotionally sucked in, my friend is buying and 4 or 5 chal will get a discount and go and buy.
Yeah.
Don't buy based on discounts, buy based on cold, calculated, hard logic. And your chances of going wrong are slim.
Yeah.
The only way to ensure that there's nothing that goes wrong is by paying that little bit of a premium and buying a ready possession apartment.
Yeah.
But then you don't get the benefits of paying your EMIs over time. Those benefits you don't gain. So there is a trade-off.
Yeah.
But please, for God's sake, just look at reputation and currently what the on-the-ground situation is.
Right. I hear you say two things. One is do your own research. Your research, there are multiple means of doing research. One is go to the site, talk to people, previous consumers and so on. 2, talk to the brokers, talk to the channel partners, figure out what they have to say. 3, figure out if there's work happening on the site and how much sales have happened, which you're saying is available through the RERA websites. You can do your own research, use the RERA websites to do that as well, right?
Sure.
The Saurav, whose question you answered, has come back with a follow-up question. He wants to know if balcony comes under carpet area, then what is the difference between carpet and super area?
So the super area is the common areas which are driveways, lobbies, the common passages, the lobbies, and the other clubhouse and other common areas in the development, which today, based on RERA, you are entitled to charge for that. We have to disclose what is the RERA carpet area and the chargeable area. So now a customer can tell how much am I paying for what I will own and what I will get, and
Yeah.
how much am I paying for which is part of the common areas. Now it's
Right.
okay to pay for those because those, as long as you're getting that, you have a bigger clubhouse, you have bigger lobbies, you have bigger passages. If
Hmm.
you need that and if you like it and you want it, then you should pay for it. It's so what RERA has done is brought transparency.
Yeah.
In the old world, developers were charging any kind of loading which without giving customers an explanation.
Right.
Today, that explanation is available in terms of this is your unit carpet area and
Yeah.
this is your common areas. And so it's
Right.
transparent, and that's the most important thing that RERA has done.
Right, I think so, and sort of that's the essential thing. You pay for whatever you're using. Carpet area is what comes only to you, and super area is what you share with others in the society. Right, Rohit?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. There's Shubh Nijavan who says, do you believe it is the right time to start a career as a builder? He wants to become a builder. Where to start in a developed area or a developing area? Would you like to give some advice?
For the single point advice which I would give is please, I mean, look, join in if you believe that you have a value proposition. Okay. A couple of quick things. One is focus on your customer and never lose sight of your customer. Right. The second
Yeah.
is ensure that you have financial closure. You know how you will complete your project, where the last rupee will come to complete your project before you start, and have it tied up and have it available. Right?
Right.
Because when you're starting off new as a fresh developer, the market has shifted substantially to reputed developers with a track record of delivery.
Yeah.
If you are going to bank on, array, some sales will happen, wahan se thoda paisa aa jayega, please don't consider that, because consumers have become very discerning,
Yeah.
right? They're not forgiving if you cannot deliver your product.
Also,
So
the
if you,
regulator.
and well, but Jayashree, the thing is this: the regulator doesn't ask you where is the money coming from to finish your project.
Right. Right.
So I may be punished later for not completing my project, but that doesn't stop the person who bought from me from suffering,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
if you're an aspiring developer, please make sure that you have the money lined up to complete the whole project. Now, it might mean you have to start with a smaller project, but you do a smaller project. And I'll tell you this, as developers, we have followed the slow and steady race for the last 50 years. I'm
Yeah.
third generation in our family business, right? And we've continued to have a very conservative fiscal policy, right? And that's what stands us in good stead today, which is why we complete every single project that we start,
Yeah.
regardless of the quantum of sales that we have. So that would be
Yeah.
my single point, again, 2 points. Focus on the customer, make sure you have financial closure.
That's right. Good. There's Rajkumar Kurmi who says, is there a checklist of things buyers must essentially tick off while deciding to make a purchase? Now, Rohit, you have said what all you should do when you are selecting a developer. I think what he means is when I'm deciding to buy a house, is there a checklist I should follow?
I think the important things are, does the house serve your needs? Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for example, we have child-centric homes, right?
Yeah.
And this is Gera platform, so I'm happy to talk about what we do. So child-centric homes, let's say the project is in a location which you love, okay? But and there are people who don't like it, or you have older children, and you're like, what, I'm done with kids. Don't buy in a child-centric development where there's going to be so many kids around, right?
Right.
You might love the location, you might say clubhouse is great, but you know that you're going to have kids running around playing there. That's the focus of the development,
Right.
right? Make sure that what is being offered satisfies your needs.
Yeah.
If you don't want a clubhouse and all of those things, don't buy a project where you're going to spend money on maintenance every month on a clubhouse.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the home must satisfy your needs in terms of size, what's inside the home, and like
Mhm.
somebody asked earlier, what are you paying for in the super area? So is it a big clubhouse? Is there a swimming pool? Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we found in child-centric homes that people love the idea of getting their kids
Yeah.
to swim. Right?
Yeah.
So if you're in that category and there's a pool and there's coaching facilities available, certainly checks off that one checkbox that it
Right.
gives your kid that opportunity.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
each person's needs are different, right? If Vastu is important for you, please check with the Vastu of the apartment. You know,
Absolutely.
so don't compromise on your needs. There is the ideal home for you.
Yeah, and it is your home. You must be comfortable with it. So make sure that you know what you're looking for and where you're looking for it and whom you're going to be with. Because after you deliver, also that relationship with the developer is very important for a long time, right? The quality of the structure, the how it's maintained, the quality of the neighborhood. These are things that matter, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh. There is, I think, Pranali Shah who's asking, in the light of COVID-19, will Kharadi's development? Can you hear me?
So, sorry, can I just respond to one which I
Yes.
have seen? Should
Yes.
developers sell properties in the name of Upper Kharadi when it is actually Wagoli? So
Uh-huh.
this is obviously somebody from the competition trying to take a pot shot, and I don't like to kind of duck questions. So I
Yeah.
want to respond to this, right? That
Yeah.
locations extend and expand, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and the reason why a customer buying a row house likes to call it a row villa is it
Uh-huh.
because it serves his sense of aspiration,
Uh-huh.
right? Because home buying is aspirational. Okay.
Yeah.
If you give an extension of a location to a name, but you're transparent that it is not a Kharadi, for example, right?
Yeah.
Call it Upper Kharadi. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. If
Yeah.
you're in Wagoli but you call it Kharadi,
Yeah.
if for example you're beyond Koregaon Park but you call it Koregaon Park, I think that's completely wrong. As
Yeah.
long as it's transparent and not saying that this is the main part. And
Yeah.
let's keep in mind, people's homes are highly aspirational. Home
Uh-huh.
buying is aspirational. You want to
Yeah.
buy the top floor apartment and call it a penthouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? People have
Absolutely.
need, right?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
do that? To differentiate. So I think that's the rationale. That's the approach that we take. So we take a view of being upfront, transparent, and honest about it, right?
Uh-huh.
But you should be disingenuous,
Uh-huh.
right? And call something which is not your location and name it something completely wrong, right?
Yeah.
You have running water and you want to call your project to 24 hours running water and you want to call it luxury. you
Yeah.
know I,
Yeah.
I think there's a line, and I think people who ask those questions should stay on the right side of the line.
Okay.
Sorry, go
Okay. Another question: will the pandemic impact RERA possession deeds? If yes, how significant will the delay be?
oh
This is
I think
important.
I think it will, and I think the government has recognized and the RERA authorities have also recognized that if there's no work on the site for 3 months, right,
Yeah.
you can't complete the project if there's nothing happening in terms of progress. Now the pandemic has added another layer of the migrant workforce all heading back
Mhm.
home, right?
Yeah.
So we're hopeful that the labor does come back, and we've seen ranging between 80% disruption to 50% disruption of the workforce, right?
Mhm.
But the problem, even if you've got only 20% of workforce disruption on my project, suppose, and
Mhm.
that 20% is the carpenters, then
Ah.
none of the people can do any work unless the carpenters are present.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There is a disruption. I believe that it'll be anywhere between, I think 3 months is the minimum because every project has been stuck for 3 months. So I think therefore that will lead to a spillover of 4 months, and
Yeah.
it'll probably go to 6 months or so. But
Yeah.
I think if you've already bought, please engage with your developer, right?
Mhm.
Ask them what the impact is and ask them to keep updated.
Yeah.
And because everybody has to get through this together.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Um, will the capital market lose to the rental market? Do you think so?
I think there is a tremendous push from people who are renting, who
Mhm.
suddenly need to have their own shelter
Mhm.
and their own home,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's the strong impetus towards the renters moving to owning their own home.
Yeah.
The one thing that keeps people who are in rentals to stay on in rental is the uncertainty in the job market today, right?
Yeah.
Here's the bigger problem, and I'm glad this came up, and it may be.
Yeah.
So what's happening is, a lot of employees are today unsure whether they think that there'll be layoffs in their organization. Right now, if I'm
Yeah.
working in a company with 5,000 people and I'm told there's going to be 2% layoff,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Until I know that I'm not one of those 2%, right?
Yeah.
I continue to be anxious.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think in the next couple of months, companies which are going to do the layoff that's going to happen, okay, the people will, the anxiety levels will come down. Till
Yeah.
the anxiety is there, those who are in rentals will may not want to take a risk of moving into an own home,
Mm-hmm.
but they sensed and they felt the desire and the need for their own home.
Mm-hmm.
So, in fact, I do believe that in the medium term, we'll see a greater shift to people who are in rentals wanting to move towards their own home.
Yeah. And if they're going with good developers, it's okay to buy early stage development.
Absolutely, absolutely. I
So
think
that
I
payout is smaller, right?
so here's the thing that happens when you buy an under construction home, right? You pay your 5-10%. If the developer's got a good reputation, you even pay
Yeah.
a smaller part, and the bank co disburses along with you. Okay,
Yeah.
so you do that, and that way your outflow today is
Yeah.
less.
Mm-hmm.
In the year, it slowly rises as the project progresses. 1 year later, hopefully, you get your increment. You
Mm-hmm.
pay that bit more for the next year, you get another increment. So, in the 2.5 years that your project gets delivered, you've
Mm-hmm.
hopefully seen two increment cycles,
Yeah.
and there you haven't stretched yourself that much. That's the biggest motivator for people who want to buy these under construction homes.
Sure. Sure. Get it.
The challenge, however, comes up, and this is why going with a reputed developer is most important. The challenge
Mm-hmm.
comes your EMI starts rising or pre-EMI starts rising and the total of what you're paying there plus your rent,
Yeah. Yeah.
start squeezing your cash
Finance.
flows.
Yeah. Yeah.
So therefore, you have to be very cautious about who you're buying from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Rohit, we are just completely swamped with questions. I'm going to take another 10 minutes. We'll take some more questions. There's Pranali Shah who says, in the light of COVID-19, will Kharadi's development be impacted adversely? How will it impact the development of location around Gera's World of Joy? You want to take that?
So I think the single biggest driver of any location, and the a location that rises and does really well, is the
Yeah.
job creation in that market, right?
Yeah.
Now, Gera's Commerce Zone, for example, we continue, because of there was a slowdown because of the lockdown and so on. The work stopped. The work has restarted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think that it's a matter of time. Those projects will get delivered. Those people will move in.
Yeah.
So I think all it might do is it might slow down some people who want to come and rent. It may defer some decisions,
Mm-hmm.
but that development is going to get delivered, right?
Yeah.
We are already at 2 million feet under. 1 million is delivered. Another
Yeah.
million, 500,000 is nearly ready. Another 500,000 is underway. So
Mm-hmm.
that 2 million feet is going to be in 22,000 people coming to work there.
Yeah.
Okay, 3-4 thousand of them have already come in. So 15,000 more people will come and work there.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
addition to that, there are other IT parks in the area which are already up and running. So I think as long as job creation continues, that location will continue to do well wherever there
Yeah.
is job creation. Uh, and therefore, I think there may be a blip for a short term, but I don't think it's any sort of a long term impact to that sort of a location.
Right. And IT sector seems to be, IT locations seem to be coming back to normalcy. A very limited normalcy, but yes.
Yes,
Right?
yes, absolutely. Because all these businesses need to continue to, they were providing somebody service,
Yeah.
whether captive or otherwise.
Yeah.
Everything looking at jump starting. And the thing with, I've been thinking about this, places like Pune and Mumbai,
Mm-hmm.
or even Delhi, which are more under lockdown, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at it from where we are. We're
Yeah.
not looking at it from what's going on in the US or in the UK, where things are much, their impact to GDP is less. There is an
Yeah.
impact, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
less. There's so many cities in Maharashtra, in Maharashtra and in India today, towns and cities, where the normalcy levels are much greater,
Yes.
right? So we have
Yeah.
to keep that in mind that we will get back to a normal. It may be a new normal. It may be a
Mm-hmm.
normal. Technology has a greater play. It may be a normal where we're all on flights with these acrylic masks, right, or
Yeah.
screen, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be normal, but we are human beings and we will continue to live,
Yeah. Yeah.
flourish. I
Uh, Rohit, I'm going to take 3, 4 questions more, very short, crisp answers so that we can service more people. There is a query. Hi, Rohit, sir. As we all know about the situation that the whole world is going through, but every situation has a better side. So can you give us a brief on how we can take advantage of this pandemic situation and convert it into an opportunity? This Abhishek has asked this question twice. He clearly wants your view on this.
So the question is, how do you take advantage? I'm not sure whether
how do you make the pandemic a opportunity and not a setback?
So look, if you're a customer, it's a great time to look at buying. Go and get yourself a good deal, right?
Yeah.
If you're locked up at home, look at learning new skills. It's a little late in the day for that, but look at upskilling yourself. Look at seeing how you provide better value to if you're in employment. If you're an entrepreneur, then how do you service your customer? How do you support and work much better with your customer to empathize with them? So I think it depends who you are. Right. As a developer, things that we did, we came up with this COVID assistance package for our customers. So we've done things which I think are tremendously value accretive for our customers. We've done things for our employees. So, you have to go out there. There's so much that you can do. But, unless you have what context you're asking, is really hard to answer that as a specific question.
Yeah, basically don't panic. Things are coming back. Like Rohit said, new normal. So let's adapt to the new normal. Right? I'm going to take this question from Gautaman. Gautaman says, with site visits being limited due to COVID situation, what else can home buyers look at to ensure that they make the right decision?
So simply put, do your homework. You can do your homework on the phone, making phone calls to friends and family. Do your homework online. Look up developers' reputation online. Look up feedback online. Right? Time on the RERA website, see the progress updates that the developer's been putting up on the RERA website. Line up your, maybe talk to channel partners, line up 2 or 3 site visits, call them, ask them what they're doing in terms of your protection. Is there anything out there? Will there be multiple people? Is it by appointment only? Ask those questions. You must look out for your own safety first.
Yeah.
Those questions, go in there, make sure that those protocols are being followed. Be smart about it, right?
Yeah.
Be paranoid maybe even, and go ahead and then go forward.
Yeah. Okay. There's Ganathan who says, how quickly does the housing market react to a crisis? What does that mean in current years? It's rather generic, but I think you may be able to answer that.
I think, look, consumers react in an instant, right? If you're thinking of buying yesterday and there's some problem or a crisis, you won't even go for your site visit. So that's going to be an instant impact, right? If a developer looking at buying a property, again, in an instant you can defer it. But if you've started your project and if you've committed to it and you've made a RERA declaration, you have no choice but to see it through. So I think if you're clear in the industry, you may have to adapt a little bit, but you'll have to go through with the project. But if you're a customer, you can respond in the instant moment. So I think depending who you are. And if you're in between, if you're the financial institution, you'll take a wait and watch, and then you'll support the developer and so on and so forth. So it depends on which end of the spectrum you are. You'll respond accordingly.
Okay. Ishan Kumar wants to know, tentatively, how much appreciation are you expecting in Hinjewadi in the coming time, especially after the metro arrival? I can see somebody else has also asked about Hinjewadi. So would you like to talk about this?
I don't. We have never in our history sold to anybody based on promising appreciation, right?
Yeah.
Our credibility. I can tell you some of the things, and you've already pointed it out, that there is a metro coming, right?
Yeah.
As long as job creation continues there in that market, as long as there is a sudden infrastructure driver, new infrastructure drivers, a new bridge connecting one end to the other, right? A new highway that comes in, new social infrastructure, the metro, for example, those things have seismic impacts on markets, right?
Yeah.
Much really depends on, how many developers come in with supply, because of that, how much supply comes in, what quality of supply comes in. So it's really hard to predict. But one thing is for sure, when there is seismic impacts on account of large scale infrastructure projects, does impact that market substantially.
Okay. Okay. Dave Takalkar wants to know, would 1 BHK demand go high as people might realize the importance of homes? Do you think so?
We found even historically, right, there was this big talk about affordable housing and push in affordable housing. And we found that one bedroom homes do not have that larger demand. And one of the reasons is, for you have certain minimum room sizes, right?
Yeah.
And you have the loading. So the gap between a one bedroom to a compact two bedroom is 100, square feet, right?
Mm-hmm.
150 square feet at 4,000 rupees a square foot at the outskirts
Yeah.
is 6 lakh, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
6 lakhs today is 4,500 rupees per month on the EMI,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that gap is so little that
Mm-hmm.
people are opting more for the two bedroom compact rather than the one bedroom. So we have found that one bedrooms are, so some people have a specific need for a one bedroom, are looking at those, right?
Mm-hmm.
Many others then are pushing it a little bit. You got young kids, you're going to have kids, you push in into that little two bedroom, into the two bedroom compact phase.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
don't see personally my own, if I were doing a new development, I wouldn't bet and say, okay, there'll be more than a 10% demand for the one bedrooms in a larger development.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. I'm going to take two more questions and then we are going to bring this to a close. One is that when you look at a sample flat, and similar questions have been asked, I'm going to put a lot of questions together. Is how easy is it to figure out what you're getting by looking at the sample flat and figuring out what is going to be delivered to you? Is it worth looking at the sample flats?
Yes, the sample flat should be looked at. A sample flat should be looked at from the point of view of the space planning and how you will actually utilize the space.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, a developer has 5, 7, 8, or 10 different configurations in a larger scale project. So it may be such that that apartment isn't representative of the exact one that you're buying, right?
Yeah.
Some of the other things to also look at. I hope I don't get shot by some of the developers, but please check whether the an apartment which a sample flat which has no doors looks and feels bigger.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not how you're going to actually live. So
Yeah.
please keep in mind, right? Check for the sizing of windows. Ask the salesperson to say, hey, listen, are the windows going to be the same size? Because larger windows makes it feel airier. Is that what
Yeah.
you're actually getting? Increase ceiling heights in your sample flat. Please check, is this the actual ceiling height which I'm going to get?
Mm-hmm.
And will you put it in writing?
Yeah.
Because those are things that architecturally the carpet area may be the same,
Mm-hmm.
but these things give you a feeling of greater space.
Okay. And then when you actually get the house, you might feel a little cheated.
You'll get the same square footage, but you don't get the same volume in that sense. So ask these questions, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And it's really fair to ask the questions. Is the representation being made to you completely transparent?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm the last question. I'm putting together many questions here. The price factor. Will prices come down? Should you buy a ready to move in or under construction project? Because there is a price differential, but there is a lower risk in a completed project, and offers like give a token money and then buy something later. Are these to be considered? Three questions. I've bunked them together.
So look, I think it depends on the individual buyer's profile, your individual customer risk profile. If you are a customer who you're very averse to risk, okay,
Yeah.
and you don't want to take any chance,
Yeah.
okay. So then typically, let's say you're the guy who has the health insurance and you got the life insurance and you got the car insurance and everything is to the max because that's how you'd like to live.
Yeah.
Buy a rent, pay the little bit of a premium for your peace of mind.
Yeah.
Right? If on the other hand, you're getting the right home from the right developer where your risk is minimized, okay,
Yeah.
you're comfortable with that level of risk, it's totally okay to take that risk.
Yeah.
Okay. But take the risk as long as you're not going to lose sleep over it. Don't give yourself an ulcer. I bought it cheap. Now I'm going to stress every day till I get my home 2 years later. It's just not worth that aggravation and getting yourself sick over it.
Right. Right.
There are many developers who are safe, sound, who can deliver, and therefore, it's totally okay to buy from them.
Yeah. Sure.
Can I answer one of the questions which said there's no sample flat in World of Joy, right? Which is
Yeah.
our. We have a large number of configurations in World of Joy. Okay.
Yeah.
Sample flats. The sample flat will come in due course, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's such a large configuration, and this is what I talked about. Okay, you don't want somebody to feel that okay, I bought, the sample flat is the 1,000 square foot one, but I got 800, so I felt bad about it, or it's a 1,001, I'm buying a 1,200, it's not representative. Okay, work on the site is ongoing. As soon as the units are ready to showcase, we will showcase it.
Yeah.
But we don't follow a norm to say every project must have a sample flat. We didn't have one in Gera's Adara as well.
Yeah.
We didn't have one in Misty Waters, so it's not the norm that we always do it. In some cases we do. So it goes to case. It's a project to project.
Yeah. Rohit, there are a very large number of questions that you haven't answered yet. And I would like you firstly, to tell the consumers why you started this Ask Rohit Gera. Second is that the questions that haven't been answered, I'm assuming that you will be putting the answers to them on your website so that consumers can come back. But first, do brief people about this new initiative.
So I'm glad you brought that up, Jayshree. Look, I think as developers we have a huge level of experience, right? And I find unfortunately that developers aren't really coming out and speaking in a transparent manner, right? Some of us certainly are, right? But I think if more of us do, it'll also help to change the perception of the industry.
Yes.
So one reason for doing this is that one reason is the kind of years of experience that we have, the kind of things that we think about, the way we look at the market, right? I think customers would do well to hear from developers.
Yeah.
So therefore, this is also an initiative to create a bridge between two sides. Today you're sitting across the table and negotiating with us. Tomorrow, the moment you cut a check and you're with us, then we're part of the same group, we're part of the same team. You get the transparency after you buy. Why can't we have the transparency before?
That's right.
Those are that's the sort of thought process, that's the rationale. And just as a continuing point, I think the kind of response, we weren't sure whether people would actually be wanting to hear from a developer. So how it would go down, I think the response has been phenomenal. So I think we will come back with this initiative. The idea was maybe a month from now, but looking at the kind of response, I think the team may turn on and say, look, let's do this more frequently. As long as there's people who continue to want to ask questions, we're happy to provide answers, because I think being an informed home buyer is the best thing for the industry.
Yeah.
Because when you're not a home buyer, when you're not getting conned, right, you're making the smart choice. And then, the industry will also raise its standard when the customer asks the right questions.
Yes, absolutely. And this is something that I have believed in ever since we started Magic Bricks. We have, in fact, we know developers like Rohit Gera because we have reached out to them and we've asked them to talk to our consumers. We started with Guru Talk, which was a web chat. They went on to a full channel. Today we have MBTV, which is a YouTube channel. And at every point, what we feel is there's consumer on one side and there's the industry on the other. And of course, there are others like lenders and policymakers and so on. But if you can engage in dialogue, and if the consumer gets information before he makes that choice, it's always a good choice. And there is trust on all sides. Thank you so much for joining us, Rohit Gera. It was a pleasure hosting you.
Really appreciate your time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye.
Everyone, thank you.